Try HelloFresh UK to get 60% off your first box, 25% off for 2 months, and to, of course, help support this channel. Link is down in the description. Thank you for your support. Well, a new week and a new experience in this FM24 Head Coach story as we have our first transfer deadline day at Kashima Antlers. We had a positive start on the pitch, but that has faded in the last week, and we could really do now with a little bit of help. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 32 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today for transfer deadline day before, I think you would call it a pretty big game, wouldn't you? A reunion with the club we left a month ago to join Kashima Antlers. They were further down in the table, but we saw a better opportunity. And if we win this game at the weekend, we will be just 1 point behind. So we're going to keep trying to track them down, but it has been a frustrating week or so. The depth of the squad is not quite there, and in certain positions that has cost us as we have fallen to 2 successive defeats after a strong start to the year. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we bounce back today and whether we can beat our former club and prove it was the right decision to go, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. But for now, let's have a look at what's happened in the transfer window so far and in our first few games at Kashima Antlers, because if we have a look at the transfer window, you were with me at the start of the month as there were a few bits going on, and there appears to be a busy deadline day in store. So let's start with the transfer history, because you were with me as the window opened. An offer was made for Haris Tabakovic, and we also saw a couple of star players sold. Well, it's been quite a busy month since, so let's run through it. You were here as Watai and Nakahara were sold after playing the first game for me, and now since then, lots more have gone out. Most of them younger players, it's got to be said. So a couple here have gone to Mito, our feeder club. Go Tanaka has gone to Kawashima. He's a pretty average player, but had decent potential. Rui Leader was a bit of a surprise one. He's gone to Fukuoka, who we beat in our first game. That's on a loan deal worth about 100 grand, but he was the joint best left wing back at the club. So Takahashi now getting a bit more football as a result of that move. And given what we didn't have there and the fact there's been no replacement since, I would argue that's a pretty strange move. But it's good money for a player who's not that great. 2 more have gone since. Shun Sakai, the first to Arawa Reds. That was 220 grand, rising to 675. A decent young player with okay potential, but maybe not the best personality at the minute. So I'm not devastated by that one when you consider the price. And then another youngster to Kagashima since, who has pretty big potential, is a good player, and actually came in a few weeks ago for decent money, but he's not someone who's instantly ready, so I don't mind that deal, and playing football with a professional personality should certainly help him out. The big news is Haris Tabakovic. He was the target man from Switzerland that an offer was made for, and while he's 33, he's past his prime, and he's not yet fully match sharp. He has come in and made a few sub appearances, and he's been decent. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can provide the rest of the year. 3.5-star ability and natural in that target forward role. And if we can get the set pieces right, he should be a man that scores a few from them. But he might get his first start this weekend. The next one is Yoshihiro Yamada. You've seen he's gone out on loan already, but he was signed from Kyoto, who annoyingly beat us last week. He's got acceleration weaknesses, but everything else is pretty solid. Not someone who's going to be playing out from the back, though. If we go forward and have a look at the schedule, though, and see how that's affected results, it is fair to say that at the moment, we are still weaker than we were at the start of the window, having lost 2 or 3 superstars. But these are the results we've had. You saw the Fukuoka win in our opening game. We then beat Rainburg in the cup by 4-2. Agawa came into the team and got a couple, the youngster. Machino back from injury with 1, and Asada, he picked up 1 as well. He was one of our backup centre-halves. We beat Mashida by 1-0 in the All Japan Cup 4th round. Ryota Ashida getting a first half goal there. Watanabe picking up an injury. And at wing back, it's just been a constant struggle. But moving forward to the final game of the month, an absolute thriller at Yokohama FM. A 4-3 victory with 2 from Machino, back from injury and looking brilliant. 2 from Brian Hainan as well. But late on, it was a little bit of a topsy-turvy game. We were 3-0 up and 4-1 up in this one. So it was really disappointing to be pegged back and have a grandstand finish. It wasn't as disappointing though as the results so far in August. The second one I can kind of take, but a defeat away at Kyoto, a 91st minute goal made it 2-0 just as we were getting back into it. And if we hadn't conceded that, the late Sakamoto penalty would have been enough for a point. And then we lost at Kawasaki, runaway leaders, no shame in that. They played us off the park, and 1-0 was not really a fair scoreline. It should have been 3 or 4. But now, in the league at least, we've got a more friendly run coming up. Of course, Yokohama will be a tough game because the players and the team know us and they're doing really well this year. But after that, in terms of league games, Shonan are 13th, Gamba Osaka 16th, Imabari 17th, and then Arawa and Shimazu will be 2 big decisive games at the top. But we've got a chance in our next 4 potentially to pick up a minimum of 9 or 10 points. And even then, our final 4 games of the season are not that bad either. What's a little bit more difficult though is the cup runs, because we've drawn Arawa in the cup quarter-final, the All Japan Cup that is a potential route into Europe, but as you saw, they're right up at the top of the league. And then Vissel Kobe, last year's champions, second at the minute. And of course, they were the side that broke our heart with Yokohama last year. They beat us in a 2-legged cup tie, was either the quarters or semis, and this time we've drawn them in the quarterfinals at our new club, which will make it quite difficult. So we're going to have to make a decision about our next episode. But before we get to any of that, it is transfer deadline day and there are some pending deals on the run. We have seen that Watanabe is joining us from Valencia. That was pre-agreed before we got here. We've got Nagura, who is a young player. He's going off to Yamaguchi, and there's no real problem with that. He's remarkably made 22 appearances in the league for this club, and I'm not quite sure how because he's not that good. There was 1 year where he made 18 substitute appearances. How bizarre. But if we look at pending deals at the moment, one is Kazuki Tamura. He is at Arawa at the moment and is a young player that we've made a bid for. And then the first team signing of the day seems to be Riku Handa. He is from Nagata. He is worth 400 grand and has been offered about 7 grand a week in wages. He's not great, but he's a step up at right wing back. And it does give us options then to move the other lad to the left or at least have a bit of depth. So I wouldn't be gutted to see him come in. He's got all the core attributes to be okay. And while he's naturally a right back rather than a wing back, I'm not going to change the tactic again before the end of the year. So for now, we'll slot in, but gives us greater options for next year. Hopefully then, the director of football will go and address the left-hand side. But that's what we've got to look forward to with 16 hours to go. There are a few bits of potential news that are worrying though. Ramiz Zarouki, one of our star foreign players, is of interest over in Saudi. And at the moment, with Saudi and Qatar clubs interested, we've generally seen a 100% success rate of them accepting a move. So that would be a big loss if he accepts that one. There's also been interest in Takumu Kawamura, who is one of our backup holding midfielders. I'd rather he go, if I'm being honest with you. But let's go and get through deadline day. Plenty more that could yet happen. Ibasuki being linked with Saudi as well. Please don't let him go. We're going to take part. We've got 16 hours remaining. And our new director of football, a reminder to you of what he looks like, has got a big job on his hands today. There are a few staff just starting to come in, but largely on the youth front so far. Hiroya Ishihara, the new director of football, he's coming from Tosu. He's got a good reputation. What are you going to do today? We've got 16 hours to find out the answer. We'll be back as any news develops throughout this day. Well, just 1 hour in, and I can already see a disaster occurring at the top of the screen. We'll get to that in a minute, but loads of other offers first, so let's address them. Offers for Goto. One has been accepted from Arawa, up to 725 grand with about a third of it up front. He is a young player with big potential, so I'm a bit concerned about that. He's also homegrown at the club and had just been promoted to the first team, so definitely not my happiest moment. Also an offer accepted from Tokyo, but again, big profit sell-on clauses included. An offer for a Gucci, a lone keeper. I'm surprised he didn't accept that. He's my third choice, and while it is a rival club, would be great for him to get regular football at that level. He is loan listed at the request of the backroom advice meeting anyway. So maybe it's just the wage that wasn't enough, because otherwise he would be a perfect candidate to go there. Mitoma, we've got a loan offer for, rejected. He's another one I've promoted to the first team. And at the minute, again, not enough wage contribution to tempt the director of football. But here's the big disaster. An offer for Ibasuki worth 1.3 to 1.6 million. He's worth a lot more than that. And the director of football is going to have to go and have a chat with him because it looks like he wants to leave the club. And at the moment, that offer's been rejected. I would expect us to get a lot more for him if he is going to go, but we will ask the director of football to chat to him. We'll be back in a moment, inevitably, for the next offer, which I'm sure will be accepted. Well, this has been a less than ideal morning at the start of transfer deadline day because in addition to Ibasuki throwing his toys out the pram, I can see the director of football has agreed to sell him and he's now got a price tag of 4.4 million. I'm guessing they've agreed a price. Yep, it says asking price set. So that could be a big deal today. But more surprisingly, Riku Handa has rejected us to stay at his second tier club. And that means the improvement to right wing back is not on the way. And he's got more money there than we'd offered him. So our director of football either being stingy or being very clever. We've got a youngster coming in, but that's not really what we want at the minute. There is another offer though for a Harter. Please be a senior player. Please be a good wing back on either side. Let's have a look. He's a left back, left centre half and left wing back. 100 grand rising to 300 and just 26 years of age. What do you like? Yeah, not bad. Good professional personality. Not the most determined, not the best going forward, but defensively okay, physically pretty sound, and a couple of his mental attributes are pretty decent. So let's go and skip through the afternoon, and hopefully he'll be the first addition of the day. Well, this is turning into a bit of a disaster. I don't really know what's going on because there was no follow-up message, but Ayumu Ahata is not joining the club. There's no pending deal, which it may have said before, I don't know, but he's not coming in. And the first I knew of it was a message here from the media that said how close we were to signing him. And I didn't even know he'd rejected us, but oh well. We've also got Goto going off to Urawa, so a youngster with big potential leaving too. Let's hope that we at least get a good sell on for him. But for now, 11 hours remaining, and at the moment, we're still getting weaker. Well, 6 hours to go, no sign of anyone coming in, but we have said in the media that we like to keep Takahashi, mainly because we've already lost the other left wing back rather than him being brilliant. And I can see now there's a loan offer straight after. So did our director of football listen to our media report? Yes, he did. He's rejected that offer. Takahashi will stay. I mean, he's not great, but we haven't got anyone else at the minute. I'm really surprised by the lack of activity today, I can't lie, because we already had the weakness at wing-back, which you can see they've tried to address, but we've also sold star players in likes of centre midfield and nothing's really happened, so I'm finding it a little bit peculiar. Maybe it's the price of some of the star young players that would improve us, but still, he's got to try and do something surely. We're up to 6 PM, there's only 6 hours remaining, and this could be a very disappointing start to our time at Kashima Antlers. Well, both of our former clubs have picked up very good wins today in the J1 League, and while it is a good sign that Yokohama have played this extra game in midweek before they come to face us, it's not a good sign that they've won it away at the champions, so I'm a little bit nervous about this weekend. Meanwhile though, there are 2 hours to go, and if one of these isn't an offer, I'm going to be in big trouble. There's no offers. What on earth's going on? You've tried to sign someone on both sides. You must acknowledge there's a problem. And you're not doing anything to address it. Oh, this is a disaster. And when you add to that as well, we saw it last summer at Yokohama with Bashari. After the window closes here, there's still 2 weeks for them to potentially move to either Europe or the Middle East. And with the interest that some of these players are getting, the likes of Kawamura, Ibasuki, we mentioned Zaruki as well, we could end up even worse, but at the moment, we've got no strength in depth at wing back. We're not really signing anyone where we need it. I'm really disappointed at the minute. I was hoping we were going to be given the squad and the strength in depth to deal with both League and Cup, but now it looks like we're going to have to choose between the two, which is incredibly disappointing. Let's go and get through the final 2 hours and see if there's one bit of magic on the horizon. Well, it could be about to get worse because 45 minutes remaining and there is an offer for Takahashi, a left wing back. Thankfully, that has been rejected as well. I'm now desperate to hold on to a substandard player, purely, who would have benefited from football elsewhere, but purely because we're so short. Let's just hope that that's the last of the day because now, with no one coming in, it is imperative that nobody leaves. Well, an absolute disgrace if I can call it that. 2 big sales that will bring in approximately 4.5 million for the club overall and have brought in nearly 3 million up front. And the only signing was a free agent at 33, a Swiss striker, and then a couple of youngsters for the B team. It is not good enough. The players that he tried to bring in would have helped us if we'd got those two wing backs, but then when them offers are rejected in the morning, go and do something else. We've got 10 players that have left the club, only one first team has come in, and we've got the same weaknesses in the squad that we had at the start of the window, which is pretty shocking. I'm a little bit worried about the AI now because the director of football started so well at Gifu, wasn't bad at Yokohama, and it's getting worse now. Maybe Hiroki Izumi was just our Pat Nevin, and the rest of the save is going to be frustrating. I mean, we're probably due a bad spell in this year's head coach, aren't we? It's been pretty plain sailing so far. But now, the frustration here, it's not that we've not got a squad to compete, because we have. We can do okay in one of the competitions, but we've got to get continental football through the league or via the cup. And the problem at the minute is when we've got those midweek games, when we've got 3 a week, I'm going to have to choose what I prioritise. If we beat Yokohama at the end of this episode, it will probably be the league because the top 4 finish is then possible and maybe even probable. But if not, we're going to prioritise the cups and throw all our eggs in one basket, because if we beat the opposition we've got in the 2 competitions, we should be one of the favourites to win them. For now though, we've got to turn our attention to a very big reunion. We face Yokohama FC with Jack Fitzwater suspended and our player still out injured from the start, but they have won away at the champions in midweek. They'll be brimming with confidence, but they'll be more fatigued. Let's see which one wins out. Well, it's not even gone that smoothly for the rest of the 3 days because we're still getting offers from elsewhere. As we mentioned, the problem with B. This time we've got interest in Kawamura, a backup player I wouldn't normally be unhappy to lose, but in the circumstances a problem. We haven't even got Goto now who can step up. So on this occasion, Ishihara will talk to him again. We might be another player down by the time the end of the month comes around. Well, I think we can all tell that this month is going to continue to rumble on and weaken the squad because the latest offer for Asahi Ibasuki is nearly 3 million quid. And with the greatest of respect, we've seen in both real life and FM that Japanese clubs undervalue their players. And this guy, he's going to get 4.4 eventually. So we're going to have to prepare for life without him. He has completed some training stuff though. And we've got a staff member coming in, a 20-year-old performance analyst who's not great, but has got one hell of a moustache. We're now just 1 day from a Yokohama reunion. Can we get there without any more offers? We'll be back in a minute to find out. Well, the media speculation regarding the Ibasuki transfer continues to intensify, but for now, we've got a big game to worry about. The club we left, 6 weeks ago, citing a better opportunity to do well here. They're still above us in the table. We've lost back-to-back games, and we have got to prove them wrong today. We have got to show that this was the right move, despite the fact we've got injury knocks to Sakamoto, the only fit right wing-back, and Brian Hainan, a key midfielder. So let's just see how we get on. Gifu 0-0 with Shimazu, our former club, could do us a favour there. But we've got to beat our other one, who are playing a 4-2-3-1. And a lot of players who will have a point to prove after being dropped out the team by me are back in for this one and doing well. So we're going to try and be aggressive. We should outnumber them in attacking areas. But whether or not we can do that consistently, I can't say I'm entirely confident. Let's get our 11 pick because there's a couple of changes to make. We'll be back in a minute to run through the team. Well, here is the squad we've gone for today, and we're taking a bit of a gamble because Tabakovic will come in for his first start, purely because Ishida has had a couple of poor games now, the youngster. Suzuki, not really that natural on the right-hand side, and not really that natural in that advanced role. So we're going for the big 2 up front, Tabakovic and Machino. Hainan has made it and is back in the team with Takahashi over on the left. But as you can see from the bench, there's just no width behind the starting 11. The left back who was a backup is injured. The other one's not been fully fit and just come back in the reserves. The right wing back is injured, not fully fit again yet. And we're just having to tick boxes at the minute, which makes it incredibly difficult. So this is the side and the squad that we've gone for. Hopefully it will do a job. But we're going to need the 11 and the backup strikers to deliver, because the rest of it ain't that great. He's a goalkeeper of Bergson with a back 3 of Wader, returning from injury to replace a Denthal, who may soon be replacing Ibasuki if he leaves. Those two are alongside Watanabe at the back with Takahashi and Sakamoto the wing backs. Hainan is back in alongside Zaruki, with Araki returning to his preferred number 10 role, and then Tabakovic is in for his first start up front alongside Machino, who is the best striker at the club. So let's go and get through to this. We're facing our former club Yokohama at home, and in context of reaching the top 4 and proving it was the right move to come here, we're going to have to deliver today. A win is probably an essential. Let's just have a quick look at whether they've done anything in the transfer window. No players in for them at all. They've loaned out Theatrical though, maybe because of a change of shape. They've loaned out a young right back and they've loaned out a couple of backup players. But again, nothing really affecting their first team there. Just Theatrical, who was playing for us. But let's go and get through the dressing room. We're sick and tired of the poor results. We've lost 2 games and won about 4 in a row before then. Seems a bit of a weird statement, but into the first half we go. We're back early with a free kick. Oh, it's out to the edge of the box to Machino. Curls the effort wide. We came back very late into that highlight, but it was a good one. Now we can get back to fixing the touchline tablet. We can have a reflection on that strong start to the game, but at the moment, it's 0-0. There's not much confidence in the team, and that's only going to be the important thing at the minute. If we don't win, it doesn't matter how well we play. We're restricting them to nothing, but if you have a look at the stats, they've had over 3/4 of the ball. So they're playing really tidy football, definitely different to what we were doing. Let's just hope when we tried it there, they made big mistakes at the back. Let's hope they do the same. Not at the moment as Watanabe. Great challenge on Ishida. No. Referee, what are you doing? This looks really dark, by the way. I don't know if it's just the 2 kits. It's like a dark blue via dark red. Well done, referee. VAR trying its best to cost us the game, but no penalty given. It was a dive. It should have been a booking. But in the end, it stays 0-0. They've had a few shots. We've had the only ones on target. But it's not been a great game. And it's hard to say we've been a constant threat, but we have had the occasional one. We're going to need to take advantage in the second half as Araki goes from the kickoff. And it has been an issue the last couple of games. After a few really strong displays, we've struggled for goals a little bit. Maybe that's the rotating of the strikers. Maybe that's inconsistency. But Zaruki has nicked it here. And 20 seconds into the second half, we've got to create something. Would be a great way to turn this game around. Just to be a sucker punch early in the half. Straight out from the kickoff as Machino finds Araki. Oh, how have you missed? You nearly took my voice away there with that miss. It was awful. Really should have hit the target. And Ishida's now got a corner at the other end. And it almost cost us. That's a stunning save. Agawa's header's a good one. Not sure where the main target man is for them. It's a very good save to get it wide and away from danger for a corner. Which will be delivered again. Wader heads away. Only as far as Ishida. Suzuki plays a 1-2 with him. Good challenge from Hainan. And sensibly just clears it away. But we look under pressure here. This is a confident side versus one that's struggling a bit. And that first shot on target was almost the goal for them. We're going to have to go for it because Tabakovic is not causing anything great. Let's get Ishida on for him. Machino switches sides. He's 6'1", 6'2". He'll be all right. We've got Wader on a yellow card, which is potentially causing some trouble too. So a Denthal is going to come on for him. Not the quickest in the world, but will do a job in this situation. And then I think we're going to leave the rest for now because, let's be honest, as we mentioned before, bar Suzuki, we've not got anyone else of quality on the bench. And Machino, our best player, I don't want to take off. Because we've got a corner up to Watanabe. Headed away as far as Araki. Good header from Perales there, the centre-half. Sakamoto to Ibasuki. A Denthal. Nice little back flick there. And Sakamoto starts again with Hainan. A Denthal back to him again. Don't go all the way back. Into Watanabe. Options up front. It's a good ball through. No one reacted. The 2 strikers backed off. They were both onside, but Sakamoto's nicked it again. He's into the box. It's back to Araki. And that's a great finish. Good to have him back in the number 10 role. The youngster Yasuda who's come in there, he's not a bad player. But he's more a creative type. He doesn't really get in the box and finish things. And Araki is far less worried about doing that. As Ishida puts a free kick in straight away. Oh, I thought we were going to concede immediately. Yuri Lara heads over. They have taken a lot of the height out of their team. And we might have to rest Hainan soon. Araki's now got a knock as well. We've got to be careful here. So Yasuda is going to have to come on as the number 10. We're going to have to take Hainan off as well because he's just back from an injury. And I'm seeing who's best in that role. I mean, they're both pretty average. Who's got the bigger potential? 4-star for Mitoma. 4.5 for Agawa. but Matoma's better physically as well. I'm going to stick to my guns. Agawa's going to come on for Hainan. And then Machino, not had the best game, still coming back from injury himself. He's going to be replaced by Suzuki. And that is the front two that we had in our first game. The front two that was fit when we got here. So let's praise the lads, because despite not being a vintage performance, they are one up. They're doing okay. They don't seem to agree with it though. Despite the fact Yokohama have had most of the ball, they've not created many chances. Just the one big header from a set piece, ironically. And otherwise we've been in control. But can we find a goal? Sakamoto brought down, but Zaruki gets onto it. And it's tipped wide for a corner. Good save, Go Hatano. I hope that wasn't an injury for Sakamoto. Because as we've discussed extensively today, there is not much cover in the wing-back area. And deadline day has not helped that cause. As Zaruki has got a corner kick. We're into the 90th minute. And after this, we'll probably go and get the time wasting on. Could have done with a mug for this one, couldn't I? Zaruki, go on, find a head, make it 2-0, and let us relax in stoppage time. Here he comes. He's already slowing the game down. In-swinging delivery to the back post. Who's going to be there? There's 3 players up. Adenthal's one of them. Watanabe's one. And I think that's Ishida in there as well. Good time wasting Zaruki. Oh, it's a shocking corner. What are you doing, man? Let's go and get the wing-backs on defensive duties. We're just going to go bog standard for now. We're also going to put Zaruki on a deep line role. Again, just shore up the midfield. Support duty for Yasuda. And we'll also go time waste all the time. Slow the pace down. And hopefully that will be that. Let's go and get through the final few minutes. We're not going to run at the defence as much as well. We've got 4.5 minutes to cling on. Not been a vintage display, but we've just about deserved it. Possession means nothing if you're playing well. And Kashima Antlers nick a 1-0 win against Yokohama FC. I'm not sure it's enough to prove it was the right decision yet, but most crucially, it closes the gap back to 4 points. I said it would have been 1, but of course they beat Vissel Kobe in midweek, and it is now getting very tight there. I mean, look at the table. 10 points separate 2nd and 13th, with 9 games to go in the season. There's a few teams there with games in hand above us, which is going to make it difficult. And we're not playing most of them. But the positive is we've got a lot of the bottom half sides and almost exclusively teams below us for the rest of the year. We've got through a couple of the tough ones. We've not done that well. Now we have got to show how good we are. Let's go and get to the schedule and see when we're going to be back, because I feel like I need to prioritise the league now. I don't feel I can go all out for the cups in our current situation. I feel like we've got to have a go at getting continental football. And the league, with it tightening up and with our running, is probably the best opportunity. So the plan is that we're going to come back for the 2 big league games in October, which are Urawa and Ashimazu. But of course, if we get through Vissel Kobe, or if it looks incredibly tense after the first leg, we'll either come back for the second leg of that one, or maybe one of our cup semi-finals if we get there. But I have decided now, when you look at Shonan, we're going to have to then rest players for one of the legs of the League Cup. The Urawa game, not so bad with it being 11 days away. But the plan is now, focus on the league unless we get to the cup finals. And it's going to be Urawa at home, Shimazu away. Basically our 2 really tough games remaining, as everyone else we're facing is from 6th place down and is a real opportunity for us to do well. So that's the plan. We're going to come back for the big ones. If you're looking forward to it and you did enjoy this one, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Do you think we'll lose any of our players to the Middle Eastern or the European transfer window? I've got a feeling Iwazuki's going to go, isn't he? It's going to be an absolute heartbreaking moment for us, because at the moment, he's a linchpin of our strong defensive displays. If you want to stay up to date and find out if he's here and how we get on in the coming weeks in this one, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back in the meantime with Southend United tomorrow. You can find that playlist up in the eye above if you've missed any of it. We've also got links there to the Twitch channel and the football podcast too. And thank you again to HelloFresh, who are sponsoring for one more week. You can find a link to that in the UK in the description below. But thank you very much for your support as always. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time as the race for continental football and the top 4 continues.